How's it going, everyone? Landon with LMR.com. In this video, I'll be taking an in-depth look at Pro-M Racing's EFI engine management system designed for the 1979 to 1993 Fox body Mustangs. When it comes to standalone EFI engine management systems for Fox Mustangs, this system from Pro-M is without question the cream of the crop. Their system replaces the entire factory engine wiring harness and factory computer, allowing the user to properly and very accurately dial in the tuning on their Fox Mustang. What does that mean? Well, that means no more multiple trips to the dyno, hassling with burnable chips and a control box for each individual system on your car. Choppy cams, high flow cylinder heads, and larger displacement engines can now perform at their optimal level thanks to the state-of-the-art EFI management system from Pro-M. Pro-M currently offers this EFI kit for different year ranges throughout the Fox era. Those include 1979 to 1985, 1986, 1987 to 1989, 1990, and 1991 to 1993 Mustangs equipped with a 302 or 351 based engine. The ECU itself is in fact built by the same company that manufactures the current processors for Ford. It is water and shock proof, so you can mount the ECU under the hood or inside the car. The main engine harness incorporates all of the correct factory connections for an easy plug-and-play install. With the main harness, you get an assortment of integrated additional wires such as methanol injection, nitrous, electric fans, and wideband provisions, which allows for complete and total control over the entire system. Speaking of wideband and air-fuel ratios, Pro-M currently includes an Innovate Motorsports DLG-1 gauge and an LC-2 digital wideband controller. The 2 1/16 diameter gauge allows for dual lambda readings for both banks 1 and 2, and is compatible with several fuel types. Other notable features of this awesome kit is that it utilizes an OBD2 port, is fully laptop programmable with the downloadable software, and it can store an unlimited number of tunes. Furthermore, this system has a built-in 2-step rev limiter, a user-adjustable rev limiter, and full control over air-fuel ratio and timing. This system does not include a mass air meter, so it is in your best interest to go ahead and pick up a Pro-M mass air meter so that they can calibrate it for your particular setup so it can work hand in hand with their EFI management system. The overall beauty of this kit is that it can be very simplistic or it can be as sophisticated as you want it to be. We'll be installing this Pro-M EFI management system into our little 1988 coupe. Now, a little disclosure on this car, guys, it is without question a work in progress. I mean, after all, what Fox body isn't? Components are missing, wires are cut, the interior isn't complete, and there is a host of other Fox quirks I'm sure all of you can relate to. But in typical LMR fashion, we'll be providing a general walkthrough on the disassembly process, the installation of the new harness, and how you go about doing some basic tuning. This particular segment will cover the overall disassembly of the factory harness and the preparation process before we install the Pro-M system. So enough of me talking, let's get started. To begin, disconnect the negative battery cable. Remove the air intake assembly from the car. Disconnect the IAC, TPS, and EGR connections. Use a flathead to unclip the throttle linkage. Remove the 2 bolts securing the throttle cable bracket to the throttle body. Remove the PCV hose from the fill tube and throttle body and set it aside. Loosen and remove the 6 13mm upper intake manifold retaining bolts. Lift up on the upper intake manifold and disconnect any associated vacuum lines. Remove the upper intake and cover the exposed ports on the lower intake. On the driver's side, disconnect any electrical connections associated with the main harness. Removal of other connections may be in your best interest to allow for more workroom. In order to remove a portion of the main harness, a few wires may have to be removed from the lugs on the starter solenoid. If this is done, mark one of the sides with a paint pen or take a picture of the wires so that you remember where they go when you put the stuff back together. Either disconnect the wiper motor connections or pass the engine harness underneath. Remove the 2 screws that retain the vacuum tree to the firewall. Now remove any associated hoses that are in the way. Loosen and remove the 2 screws that retain the map sensor to the firewall. Disconnect the electrical connection. Use this time to cap the vacuum port on the upper intake that the map sensor was using because the factory map sensor will no longer be used. Dislodge the harness clips from the firewall. The majority of ours were already missing. Disconnect the TFI module, 10-pin connectors, AC cycle switch, any relays on the passenger side inner fender, and the O2 harness connection. Of course, dislodge any harness clips. Now you can disconnect all of the connections related to the factory injector harness. Remove the nut securing the ground wire to the lower intake. Remove the injector harness from the car. From underneath the car, unplug the low oil level sensor and driver side O2 connection. Disconnect the passenger side O2 connection. Pass the harness around the front of the oil pan, and then remove it from the car. Use a 7/8 wrench and remove each O2 sensor from the mid-pipe. From inside the car, remove the scuff plate and kick panel on the passenger side. Our car was already disassembled. Open the glove box and then push on the sides to allow the glove box to drop all the way down. Remove the 2 lower and 1 upper retaining bolt from the blower motor. Remove the vacuum hose, followed by the electrical connection. Bring the blower motor down and out of the car. We found that it would also help if you were to just remove the glove box entirely. 2 screws retain it to the dash. Loosen the 10mm bolt from the main harness connection. Disconnect the connection and remove the PCM from the car. Loosen and remove the ground bolt. Disconnect any wires associated with the main harness. Push the grommet through the firewall and toward the engine bay. Pull the harness through the opening and remove it from the car. You'll want to take this time to thoroughly clean the area and give everything a good visual inspection before you install your new Pro-M harness. There you have it, guys. That completes the disassembly steps needed for the Pro-M EFI system. The entire process of disassembly, installation, and tuning is going to be a weekend project, so I would set aside either one complete day or a few partial days to get this done. The next step will be installing the harness and the ECU. So until next time, guys, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. Like this video and don't forget to turn on notifications. While you're at it, check out our other videos and don't forget to shop LMR.com for all things 1979 to present Mustang and SVT Lightning.